I can't find the core video, but I have talked about like like the performative acts of kindness channels before. I talked about it like a while ago. People were really upset with me because it's a really bizarre conversation to have about people who centralize their content around doing like good things, especially and specifically the ones who do it to homeless people. Like I get like the game show stuff, whatever, but when it comes down to like to homeless people, and you're like, here's $10, you know, it comes off as weird because I don't know, man. It's just bizarre. You're obviously doing it for the content. It kind of comes off that you don't really care because you're recording the act of kindness. So it comes off as very disingenuous. Feels disingenuous. And also it's like one of those things where the worst ones, more than anything else, the worst ones are the ones where they're like, they'll ask them if like, oh, can I have your jacket? Can I have your jacket? Can I have your scarf? And if the homeless person gives them the scarf that they need desperately, they're like, here's $100. And they're like, thank you so much. But like, if I was homeless and I had a scarf, I wouldn't be giving it up because like, that's all you really have and it's cold out. And so then it's one of those things where you're almost forcing poor people to be charitable, to get charity when they don't have the means to be charitable. It's easier to be charitable when you have money than it is to not be charitable. So if you're like, hey, can I have your only pair of socks? Yeah. Oh, here's $1,000. You know. That being said, the other hand is that like because they're doing it for views, it incentivizes them to do something, and then you would see like more homeless people get things that they could use. And it comes down to a conversation of like, does the motivation always matter? You know, because there's the intent and then there's the action. And for a homeless person, if they get the action of $1,000 or $100 or $50 or whatever, does the intent necessarily matter? You know, it's just kind of unfortunate that homeless people end up being kind of like the victims. Like they're not even really a person. It feels like to these channels. They're kind of like they're just like a thing to use. And it's like, oh, there's a homeless person. Doesn't matter what their name is, but I can look like a good guy recording giving money to a homeless person. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's probably better than nothing, but I can see why it would be demeaning to these people, you know? So Scumbag Dad is a content creator I enjoy on TikTok. He makes a variety of different content. He's always experimenting. And I saw this come across my stream. I haven't watched, or maybe my page. I haven't watched it. Yeah, they're props. I haven't watched it yet, but I like the overall thing. It says kindness content or poverty corn.
I think it's time to have a serious talk about performative charity, aka poverty corn. This is when an influencer with a large platform decides to film themselves giving money or food to the hungry so that they look great.
And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. I will say that though, there's another content creator. She's a black woman, and she does something like that. She actually I don't know why I said she was a black woman. It literally is irrelevant. Sorry. Anyway, I just fucking okay. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, she's a woman, but she has, it seems like a business or something where she she does charity constantly. And I think she like just live streams giving people free food, but it's like different because like she was doing it regardless of whether she was recording it. And then she decided to start recording it. And you could tell she cares. I want to see if I can find one of her videos, but God bless her because some of the homeless people are struggling. They have like really rough lives. They're living on the streets. A lot of them have mental health issues. And there's this one guy screaming at her and she's like, honey, you need to calm down. And she's very, very blunt and like assertive, but very respectful, and very nice. And she's like, pick your food. What do you want? Do you want this? Do you want this? And I was like, wow, I don't know if I could ever do something like that. But she's recording, doing the nice thing that she would do regardless. Whereas like some people, it kind of seems like they're just recording. They're only doing the nice thing to record it. If I could find that content creator, you know who I'm talking about, right? I don't know what she's called. She's a very nice woman. She has the patience of a fucking saint. Because I couldn't do it. This is the content creator. I can't find the core video that he's referencing. It seems like they're not really using it anymore. But most of his content just seems to be dumping, wasting tons of food. Yeah. Because apparently this is what 21 million people wanted to watch one day. But okay.
Let's get one thing straight. Strangers do not want to be in your TikTok video. As a creator,
you don't know me. I'm famous, bro.
Who's tried to talk many a stranger into acting for me, people do not want it. So these influencers get around that issue by calling it a social experiment and by
And they can use the "but I'm helping" defense to justify hidden cameras. Yeah, I guess that's true.
fucking
Yeah.
Walmart and low-income places with hidden cameras. I'm gonna tell you a story. I once did a video that made fun of these guys, and I wanted to use an actual needy person. There was a guy on the corner that I'd seen
Okay, scumbag. It's a person in need. A person first language. All right, canceled. Boom.
regularly. I gave him food, I gave him sandwiches, I met up with him twice. I explained the scene very, very clearly, and he seemed great with it.
Okay.
But when I finally posted it, when he finally saw my numbers, he got very offended. He asked me to take it down, which I did, and I realized something.
Well, I get that. I guess I can understand that. Maybe he also saw the comments. I mean, like, just because he's homeless doesn't mean he doesn't have a phone. Doesn't mean he wouldn't have access to seeing the video, especially if it's somebody that's like local and you know he's poor and he's struggling and he's hanging out in similar spots. He might actually be friends with some of the locals, right? And then he's like, damn, like, it's not even just the video itself. It's the way that people react to the video. It's so cringy. They're like, oh my God, you're a saint for helping this disgusting fucking animal. Like, that's kind of the energy that some of these come with. Some of these comments come with.
Some people do not want to be filmed at a low point in their life. Some people do not want to tell the world that they're going to miss their rent. And when you go into Walmart and film...
Personally, I'd be okay with missing rent. It's not a very good show. Sorry, theater nerds. Don't hurt me. Don't cancel me. Oh, Rent is the best.
people, and you know the outcome, it's not actually an experiment. These guys are able to manipulate the narrative by cherry-picking who they're going for.
True.
They want to make sure it's someone helpless and thankful and someone to cry for them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too. All the on-the-street content is, like, very curated, right? They go on the street, they'll do it for a couple hours, and then for a TikTok, they get it down to a minute, right? So looking for, like, the right people to record. It's quite possible that they it becomes shittier when they're looking for the right homeless person rather than giving away to the homeless and maybe posting something which still is questionable. They're just like looking for the right homeless person with like the right interaction. And again, one of the things that really gets me is those ones where they're just like, oh, can I have a thing you desperately need? Oh, okay, since you did a charity that you can't afford to do, here's some money. It's like, but that's like somebody who's like, oh, you gave you their jacket, but they're poor and like they need that jacket. So what if you didn't give them anything? You know, those are the worst, I think.
They're doing this so that you feel bad, so that you spend money on their GoFundMe.
Ooh.
I'm always reminded of the story of Reed Choi, a guy who got caught cheating on his girlfriend with multiple women and then sought redemption by using a homeless lady. Well, Reed...
Did he fuck her? Like, what did he do? What did he do? What did he do?
His motives and financial organization were called into question, and he was basically canceled again for it. In the end, he may have stolen money from the charity and basically left the woman no better off than how she started. But Reed is one of the clumsy ones.
Yeah. So listen, I just want to throw this in there. This is somebody sent this to me. Beauty to the Streets. I've come across their stuff, and like they do like a tremendous amount for people. They'll do like makeup, hair wash. These things are incredible. Like it's not just about food, like makeup, hair washes. Like some of this is self-esteem related. It could be a huge deal for somebody who's fucking homeless. It could help them get a job interview. You know what I mean? It could be like a reset. Imagine living on the streets forever, and all of a sudden somebody's like, here's some food and let me do your hair. And let me put some makeup on you, and they feel better about this. So maybe they'll be able to get it might be difficult for them to get like a place of residence, but maybe that'll be like the restart their life needed. This shit's crazy. She's really good. I like her a lot. I come across her TikToks and stuff, and I think that they're incredible. And like she just always records, which by the way, which makes sense. She just always records, and sometimes she'll post like a clip of it up. And I don't think that there's an issue there because she's not doing it for the views. You know, I know it's weird, but it's like the intentionality is very pure. And she's also providing people with like actual food, and it's everybody gets the food. There's no walking around. Oh, this homeless person looks like they'll be a nice blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You could still question like, hey, maybe these people don't want to be recorded. And I totally understand that. But the intention to me is very pure and very helpful. And it's like a profoundly different versus like some of these other people who don't really give a fuck about the charity and who just do what I just do when I see like a homeless who's like, hey, can I get some money? And I'm just like, there's a lot of times I don't have cash. And I'm just like, what do you want me to get you? I'm like, oh, you should go into like a Sev's. They'll just hang outside like 7-Eleven, and I'll just get them like $10 worth of food. And you know, it's not, you don't need to fucking record that. But she's doing it differently. She's like a business around doing like a charitable business around doing that, which I respect the hell out of. So like that's her whole thing. This is like a totally different scenario, and I like her a lot. Like she's great. The way that she handles like deals with some people that are going through their own struggle is just fucking. I don't know where she gets the patience from. I don't even know, but I don't know if I would be able to have the patience to do it. So yeah, this is the person I'm referring to. You know.
Bear in mind, the marks here are not the people used in the video. The mark is you, the viewing public. Topper Guild was recently defending himself, saying, "Oh, well, I'm doing a good thing. I'm spending my own money to help people."
What was his? Does he? I never saw that. I wish we would have been able to get like that tag in there.
Shirley.
Ah!
Follow.
Ah! Sorry, like a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure this Prime sponsorship didn't help at all, right? Here's my bigger point. People say it's win-win. They get publicity, and I don't mind getting them rich as long as someone gets helped. What about if she didn't want to be portrayed this way? What if she sees this a couple years later and she's like, that is horribly embarrassing?
You could still make that argument that it's still mutually beneficial. The bigger thing would be like, here's the bigger issue, right? is yeah, like I get that, not wanting to be recorded in your lowest moment. That could be like almost triggering. If you're living on the fucking streets and you finally get off the streets, so like seeing you on the streets again could probably trigger the fuck out of you. I think it's one of those things where these homeless people would probably feel like kind of uncomfortable saying like, yeah, I don't want to be recorded, because then they feel like somebody would withhold the food, the money that they just got. So that would be something. That would be probably the best thing to ask. Would be like, hey, do you ask the people if they want to be recorded? You say like, hey, maybe you record them, and then you give them the money and be like, hey, would it be okay if I use this for content? You could say no. You know, I mean, we don't know if they're actually doing that or not, but that would be probably the biggest part about it.
As usual, the homeless have no voice to defend themselves if they don't like the way they're portrayed. And even if they did post about some nonsense, nobody would believe them because the influencer contains all the power. Since they control the narrative, roll in with hidden cameras, and do things that they'd never do to a high-income person, they're able to completely portray themselves in a way that makes them look like saints. They even say bless in some of these videos.
Hey, listen, God bless, you know?
So yeah, I think people are hurt and offended by this, but you'll never hear about it because the people that they're using don't have a voice to speak back up.
That's true. They probably don't. Listen, man, at the end of the day, it just almost is what it is. It's just unfortunate. That's what it is. You know, it's an unfortunate scenario. There's some people that may have less than positive intentions when it comes to giving to the homeless. But at the end of the day, if they are giving to homeless people, it's better than them not. But you know, the audiences, it makes them feel good it makes them feel good. It's like, oh, look, a homeless person, you know, they got something. Oh, God bless them. You know what I mean? And it's true, but I don't know. At the end of the day, you know, this kind of content, I don't know, it probably helps more than it hurts. It depends. That one little thing could be a huge helper, but at the same time, it could also be pretty fucked for people who don't want that to be like immortalized on the internet.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.